Welcome to the Shrewdness. We are so excited about this baseball-focused endeavor. As teased in prior episodes, we are doing 15 to 20-minute primers for each MLB team to prepare you for this 2025 season, to help you with your fantasy baseball drafts and future bets, or simply to improve your knowledge as the season begins. From the projected starters to the prospects, we will touch it all and give our shrewd takes on the key to their success. So sit back, take some notes, and enjoy the show.
Hey, Shrewdness fans. Dex is already hinting at who we're going to talk about in our latest episode of 2025 Major League Baseball Primers. Dex, no further ado, take us away on the Colorado Rockies and their pending dominance.
Oh boy, they're going to dominate the bottom of the National League for a second straight year, and I don't even know if it's going to be close. I feel horribly bad for Colorado Rockies fans out there because they aren't even trying. So after the 2024 finish where they're dead last in their division, I mean, it's never going to help when you're with the Dodgers for the next decade. I mean, it's probably a upward swimming salmon type of thing there. But then when your efforts in the offseason are to do nothing, you bring in a guy with a couple wrist surgeries, we'll talk about him in a minute, and you bring in a utility infielder. That's your big moves. Like, oh my gosh, it is sad. We talked about the White Sox already. So if you go back and you listen to that episode, good Lord, this team might be as bad or worse. And at least the White Sox have prospects coming.
Stacked with all of the Garrett Crochet.
That's it,
folks.
But here we just see it's a graveyard of wasted first-round picks. They're still paying on contracts for people that aren't even there. I think, what'd you say, Lou? Still $10 million a year on Nolan Arenado, and he's been gone.
I know, $5 million a year
seasons
for the next 2 years, and he's been gone so long. I don't remember when he last played for Colorado.
Yeah, I think it was 4 seasons ago, and they're still
owe
paying
$10 more million over 2 years for Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, so, oh man, where do we start on something so bad? I'm going to try and find good things to talk about because I've always had a soft spot for Colorado since they came in the league in 1993, and David Need with the first overall pick stole him from the Braves.
Start out with last year, how they did. They actually, I thought, were interesting last year.
They were not interesting. They were dead last, 61 and 101, so 101 losses last season. The Fangraph totals for 2024 were 67. Bakota was 58.
That's where it's interesting. It's rare. It's not. I mean, actually, it's been relatively rare.
That is kind of a big difference.
The bizarre part was that they actually beat their baseball prospectus last year, and they were under their Fangraphs, which is important for when we get to this year.
That's a good point. So their over-under last year, Vegas, was 60.5, and they edged above and screwed all those people that took it with their 61st win. So that's how they finished last year, 61 and 101. Woof. This year projected for much of the same, except take a win away. So now their Vegas odds are 59.5, and Fangraph has them at 65. Bakota 54.8. So Bakota dropped him another 3 wins, I guess, from last year.
Yep.
And the over/under only went down 1. So I'll
across the board, everyone's projecting slightly worse than last year, which was
worse
dead
than last
last
year, and they did nothing. We tried nothing, and it didn't work. Right?
Yeah. And so let's just start. I mean, when you're diving into a pool this messy with so many floating Snickers bars, you just got to get after it. So here's their projected lineup. And frankly, it has a little bit of defense accidentally, but it kind of stops there. So we have Brenton Doyle. Oh, Doyle rules. So Brenton Doyle, center fielder. And he was kind of a surprise last year. So, I mean, I followed them, but not enough, I guess. He was a back-to-back Gold Gloves for center field. So he's won 2 years in a row now. And last season, he hit 23 home runs and 30 stolen bases with a slash line of 260, 317, and a 764 OPS. That's pretty freaking good. And he had a 4 WAR that just was out of nowhere. In 2023, he was disgustingly bad. And then, except for defense. So he was a Gold Glove only. Last year he showed up like, now you're a 2030 guy? And he's only 26.
Right. So that was his year's 24, 25 seasons. He's technically supposed to project up if you do your normal progression. So,
That's
but he
right.
had a huge jump.
Yep. So from fantasy perspective, I mean, he's trending the right direction. And I think the biggest thing is that he cut down his K rate by 10 points year over year. That doesn't happen. That's rarefied air right there. So that's their leadoff. So he's pretty darn solid if he can repeat. But again, he did that last year, and they won 61 games. So now we go to the number 2. So Ezekiel Tovar, he's a 23-year-old, but he's already in his 3rd season. So he's been up. He's been doing pretty well. You got another Gold Glove, 3.8 WAR, and his slash line last year was 269, 295, 763. And he knocked out 26 homers and 78 RBIs from the shortstop position with a Gold Glove. So that's not too bad. You're like, wow, Dex, so what's the issue with this guy?
Oh, the issue is easy to see. 295 OBP, son.
Yeah.
That does not play.
Did he have like 4 walks on the season?
Yeah, that's pretty much the bugaboo is he just swings at everything. And, yeah, when he hits it, 26 left the yard. That's good. But here's a stat that you don't see too often, even in the Joey Gallo, Chris Bryant day, 200 Ks and 695 plate appearances from your leadoff hitter last year. I'm like,
well, he's not shy.
295 for leadoff hitter is Royals-esque numbers.
It is.
It's unreal.
And you'd think, he must have had to walk some. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 23 times. That's it.
And like 600 plate appearances.
Struck out 200. So
even Dexter has to acknowledge that's bad.
That is horrible. And this will be a running little joke that Lou, I like people that get on base.
So yes,
rules.
the Shrewdness listeners, we have a running joke between the two of us. I overvalue walks. He undervalues walks. Just get used to it. It's going to be recurrent.
I don't undervalue walks. I just think there's a time to swing the bat. You can't bat 215. You're not a major league hitter if you bat 215.
Ezekiel Tovar agrees with you, Dex. All the time is a good time to swing the bat.
That's right. He's a little too much of a good thing. Like, he reminds me of old back in the day Lance Johnson. Remember him for the White Sox?
Nope.
Yep.
Who also never walked. Of course, he actually batted 290, so a little bit different. All right, so that's their number 2. So we got back-to-back Gold Gloves, center field and shortstop, so you're strong up the middle. That's pretty good. The number 3 hitter.
And Young. Don't forget.
Like, and Young.
That was probably the super solidest first 2 you probably were going to get.
Yep. It goes downhill from here. So Ryan McMahon, third baseman, left-handed hitter. He's been around for a while. Man, he's been a Rockies stalwart, and he's 30 years old now, but he brings consistency. So he comes to the ballpark every single day. His worst season in games is 151 over the last 4 seasons. His worst WAR over the last 4 seasons is 2.5. But it is trending down. So it's gone down from 4 to 3.5 to 2.9 to 2.5, which is kind of what you do, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah. So that's totally normal. Curve. Yep, but he was an all-star last year. But
because you have to have one.
That's kind of what it was.
So we've talked in the past too about defense, that your WAR will hold relatively steady until your defense starts dropping off, right? If you're producing each year. So I don't know if you looked at this, but how much of that drop off in WAR is just because he's older and maybe has less range, or his arms failing or whatever?
No, I mean,
do you think it's defensively or is it offense?
It's a little bit of both. His offense has gone down. So his slash line last year, I mean, for being an all-star, here's his slash line. And this is not the all-stars we're used to. 242, 325, 722 OPS. So he had 20 homers, 65 RBIs. It's fine. He gets on base. He walks enough. Mostly because there's no protection in the lineup. And they just kind of threw around the one guy that could swing. But here's the thing for him. So to go back on your WAR question, last year is actually his career high at age 30. He was in the 90th percentile for a hard hit rate and in the 91st or 92nd percentile for exit velocities. Both career highs for him. And so that was surprising to me. I was like, You don't usually start hitting those records at 30. But regardless, that's at least one bright spot, but it didn't really translate to much.
I'm gonna have
over
to
the
start
course of a
learning
year.
the actual lyrics to "Pee in a Cup."
Uh,
Pee in a cup, sir. Pee in a cup.
I don't
Right.
even know where we're going with that. But yes, let's
Drug
learn
testing?
those
We'll have that-
lyrics.
Drug testing? You're not catching on? The guy who has to do that regularly is not catching on to the drug testing reference?
Oh, yeah. True story, except he was so bad. It's hard for me to see the reference. I mean, the hard hit
Yeah.
was exit
It's
velos.
all about the hard hit rate, because that is something that is supposed to translate. Like, what I'm seeing is somebody who got unlucky rather than necessarily the hard hit rate really matters.
Yeah.
If you don't do well with the
Maybe.
hard hit rate, it's considered luck more than anything else.
I
No, you
mean,
could be right on that.
60 RBIs. That goes to the rest of your offense not getting on base.
Right.
So here's the albatross in the room who's just sitting there laying on a mattress of money and not really playing much. So Chris Bryant, who juked the entire Major League Baseball, but specifically the Rockies, after a semi-decent San Francisco year, like a few seasons ago, 4 seasons ago, he had a decent year, signed in the offseason a 7-year, $182 million contract. So this dude's pulling in $26 million a season from the Rockies to deliver nothing. So obviously we remember the former Rookie of the Year when he came up. We remember the MVP season when the Cubs won the World Series for the first time in forever, and he made the last play crossing the diamond from third to first. It was a beautiful thing. Man, he's a long ways from that. The last 3 seasons combined playing in Colorado, 159 total games. He still hasn't got to one season. 250, 332, 381 slug in Colorado.
Oh,
That was
wow.
mind-boggling to me. I feel like you could bunt and get a few more over that. And 17 homers and 60 RBIs total for 3
years.
seasons. I mean, that is just god-awful. He's a negative 1.3 WAR since he's shown up in Denver. So that is
Literally,
killing
you
them.
would win more games if you just straight cut him and paid him to not play for you.
Yeah, seriously. And send him somewhere else so he's like a barnacle in their side. But that signing has just crushed him because they wasted Charlie Blackmon. I mean, they probably signed him because Arenado left that year, but I don't even know. It's just such a terrible signing. And
26 million of negative WAR is just a crippler
yes.
for that long. Golly, yeah.
And so this is season number 4, and he has more left. They still have this season and 2 more
But Dexter,
or 3 more.
3
Dexter,
more.
one
Yeah.
day ago, the Denver Post. It's a big win. He's getting on the field, and he is feeling good early in spring training.
There we go. It's because he hasn't ran around a base yet to pull a quad. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of that, he will not be doing any fielding because he's going to be the full-time DH this season. So, yeah. All right, let's try and find some positive notes. Michael Toglia, first baseman, switch hitter.
Who?
So he's slotted to be in the 5-hole. 26-year-old, former first-round pick, number 23 overall in 2019. I mean, it's hard to put this in the same thing. So one of the Colorado sports commentators said, he's one of the bright spots last season, hitting 25 home runs, and 17 were actually away from Coors. I'm like, well, how the hell do you only hit 8 at Coors? That's terrible, man. Just hit the ball in the air. But also a 218 batting average. That doesn't help. 311 on base, not the worst. 767 OPS. Okay, sounds good. With the huge K rate, it's just going to limit him. For fantasy purposes, I guess if you don't draft any first baseman in the first 11 rounds, he could give you 10 stolen bases too. So you'll get 20-some homers if he stays doing this. But all in all, he just doesn't inspire confidence. I mean,
Especially his picture. Y'all look him up. He is very not photogenic.
Is he a 3-bagger? Like, he pulls one off and another one falls off. He's still got one left to cover him up.
Oof. Yeah, Michael Toglia's mom's going to call me up. I can already tell you right now. I'm going to get in trouble.
Well, sounds like you just need beer goggles to look at him and his stat line. All right, so let's go to the next one. So Nolan Jones actually had high hopes. I mean, this dude was going early in drafts last year in fantasy, and if you had him, you know what happened last year. So he's a left-handed bat, 26-year-old, but he took a massive step backwards and endured the sophomore slump. Well, I hope it's just that. Hopefully he can come back.
It happens. It's a
But
thing.
I think he was hurt. So apparently he was playing through back injuries and right knee injuries. He's on the IL twice. And his final line last year was an uninspiring 227, 321, and a 320 slug. Again, when you can't slug you can't slug 400 at Coors. I just don't know what's going on. He only had 3 homers, 28 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. But here's what people were drafting him last year. They were excited because in 2023, in only 106 games, this guy batted 297, 389 on base, much better, and a 931 OPS.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking
ridiculous.
about. And he went 2020, and he did 2020 in only 106 games. I mean, they were like, here goes 30, maybe 40,
Close
40.
to 30. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So I think if he can bounce back this year, and if Chris Bryant can just find a shell of himself, they could put up more runs this year because it wouldn't take much. The bottom 3, I'm going to mention them quickly. So their big free agent signing is Thairo Estrada, second base right-handed. 29-year-old free agent signing from San Francisco is coming off 2 wrist injuries. That's a solid guy to bring in there. So next, Jordan Beck, right field, right-hander. So he's a 23-year-old former first-round pick, number 38 overall in 2022. Yeah, I mean, he'll start in right field. And I think what they're hoping for is they can be somewhere close to his minor league numbers. So in his minors, he had 900 at-bats and a 284, 380, and a 509 slug. So, I mean, he's kicking 589 in the minors for an OPS, or 889. And I think they want that again. But he hasn't shown it yet. But he is only 23, so I'm going to give youth the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, he's got some time to figure it out.
Yeah. And their catcher is literally just a bookmark. He's a placeholder. Jacob Stallings, 35-year-old bookmark. But he did win a Gold Glove back in 2021. He had a pretty good year last year, so they re-signed him. So 263, 357, and an 810 OPS, 9 homers, 36 RBIs in 82 games. But all in all, there's holding time for Drew Romo. So he's a 22-year-old in AAA right now, and that's the guy they want to have. So, gross. I don't know. These guys on the bench, no one's going to be pushing for time. They're NPCs. So we were talking earlier about video games. They're just a non-player character. They're just sitting in the dugout. They're not pushing anybody anywhere. Hunter Goodman, Kyle Farmer, Sam Lilliard, and then Drew Romo. So Drew Romo will probably be splitting time with catcher. And I guess, if anything, he's the most exciting because you switch hitting catcher, and he's 23. So you have that promise of youth, and you're hoping you can hit something. So that's, I don't know what's worse, if it's the offense or the pitching, but that's the offense. And that's why we're going to get what we get there. So, gents, any question on the bats?
No,
I mean,
literally no questions.
You said a lot there.
We also talked that it felt like the Rockies could have been like MLB The Show random name generator for most of their offense.
It really could. Like,
I don't know.
Greg Jones.
Folks.
Yeah, we got
Kyle
Jones,
Farmer.
Smiths, and Robinsons out there. It's just brutal. So they lost Charlie Black when he finally retired, but he hasn't been good for a few seasons.
I for the Patreon folks might know, but like as we were talking about, it feels like this was a salary cap kind of like deal where they were like, all right, we're gonna lose. The Dodgers dumped all the money in the world into their team. Let's just get our salary cap to like where our salary overall to like a reasonable place. Let's reset. This year's a lost year.
Well, they're not going to be able to attract a free agent even if they wanted to.
Nope.
They're going to need some
especially
dudes.
pitching. No pitcher will go there.
No, absolutely not. And good segue. Here we go. Pitchers. I swear to God, the only people on this team have been there forever, and they're still riding that 2018 playoff run when they were all really good. That was so many years ago now. It was
Wow.
Like 7 seasons ago was the last time they were remotely good. They won 91 games. They won a first-round playoff. And then they lost to.
But they also had the like
remember.
craziest luck thing of all time, where they won 22 straight or something insane that year. It's just
I don't know if it was that year.
Replicable.
That might have been the 2007 World Series run where they just won everything down the stretch. But regardless, so the only pitchers gullible enough to stay in pitching Colorado who like self-sabotage their careers and their legacy. They've had the same dudes: Freeland, German Marquez, and Antonio Senzatella. But they've been hurt. They're old. They're all, I mean, they weren't old in 2018, which is why they made the run, but now they're 31, 31, 30, 30. It's just not good. So I'm going to air quote the ace of the staff. Jeez, I don't even know. I guess you could say.
And I use that term loosely.
Very loose. So somebody's got to take the bump on opening day.
Yeah.
It's either Kyle Freeland or maybe Herman Marquez. I just don't even know. But we'll just start with Freeland. I mean, he's the homegrown local kid. I think they got him I think he went to high school in Denver. I think that was one of the gigs. But regardless, he's just not good anymore. He hasn't been for a long time. Here's the ace line. So 5.08 ERA, 113 innings. He started 21 games. And then in those 113 innings, he had an 85 to 26 K to walk. So it's just, if there's a worse number one in baseball, we haven't talked about it yet.
We haven't talked about him yet. I'll say that for sure.
And I don't know if we're going to get there. So we'll see.
That's a strong nomination for the worst.
Exactly. So we'll put a little tab on that one, a little rabbit ear on that page, and see if we can actually find someone worse. And then we'll say Herman Marquez maybe could be 1A, 1B sounds stupid. They're really 5A, 5B, and they go down 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Again, their average age of their starting 1 through 5 is 30. Not where you want to be.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, Marquez and Senzatella haven't even pitched hardly the last couple seasons. Can they be good? I don't know. I mean, they know how to pitch in Colorado. But when you're in Colorado, I mean, you're going to have a upper 4s, lower 5s ERA. And with this lineup, you're not getting any run support. And the people coming in are feasting. They're just going to play their platoon guy that only hits lefties or only hits righties. And they're just going to start mashing the ball. And what are you going to do? Well, I better bring in Sam Lilliard to counter your righty this time. And, I see you, Kyle Farmer. Get in there. Do some damage, Kyle. No, they're going to suck. They're just not any good. So I'm not even going to go into more detail. Ryan Feltner is another guy in the lineup or the staff. He did fine. He's 28 and he did fine. If you think 3-10, 3-10,
162 innings.
Yeah.
He at least threw 30 games, it looks like, 30 starts.
He mopped up 134 whip, 449 ERA. Sure. You're not going to touch him. No one wants him. He wouldn't be on any other team.
He's a 3.5 starter. I mean, he probably would make a staff. I mean, I'm not worried about the win-loss record, but, like, that would play at the back end of a rotation. It should not be your number 2.
No, it should not.
But he does have a sweet stash.
He does. Yeah, you guys go ahead and Google him and check him out. Austin Gomber is the other guy. So he used to be in the Cardinals farm system. So when he was down Springfield, Cardinals, I think I watched him play. I think he pitched the game I went to. But now he's 31. And so he did set career highs last year where 30 games started, 165 innings pitched, and he had 12 quality starts somehow. And so when you hear that, you're like, well, that seems pretty good, doesn't it? Well, he also had a ton of just blowouts, like a 2-year-old and just as bad, man. He just sat there and blew out his diapers on some of these games. He'd give up like 8 runs, 7 runs in like 2 or 3 innings. And he just buried his team. So he's just so inconsistent. Whatever. I mean, you could try and stream him if he's on road games this year in fantasy, but just stay away from all of these guys. They're all bad. All right, so do they have help coming? Well, they kind of do. So their top prospect is 23-year-old right-hander Chase Dollander. So he's MLB's number 25 prospect overall. Their notes, because I'll just have to take it. I watched some video on him too. He does look pretty darn good. But he has frontline starter potential. They say if he starts getting his secondary, third pitches, he could actually have Cy Young type stuff. So he's got that good a changeup and breaking balls. Who knows? So he pitched in the Futures game in 2020. I think it was last season, 2024. And last season's stats, not bad. 23 games started, 118 innings, and 169 Ks in those 118 innings, and only 47 walks. So again, it's a smidge over 3-1 K to walk ratio, which I'd like to see that be a little bit higher. As you guys know, I like 4-1. 4-1's where all the elite guys are at. But he put a 2.59 ERA in his first professional season. You could certainly do worse. So Chase
47 walks is a little bit high.
It is.
But if he gets that under control, it wouldn't take much of a reduction to skyrocket that ratio with that many Ks.
That's the thing, man. His fastball's mid to upper 90s. I think he can crank it up to 99 when he's just letting it go. But most of the time he throws 95 to 97. So he's going to be really good. And I just read you their starters. It's just whether or not they want to lose a year of control. And Lou was talking about this on our little Patreon beforehand, is that if you're slated to win 59 games, why waste them? So just they'll probably keep them in double and triple A this year.
Yeah, you'd lose a year of club control. I don't know. I mean, if you want to showcase him because you're like, we're so far away that we want to get a haul for this guy, that's the only reason you bring him up and lose a year of club control.
Yeah.
Otherwise, at that age, 23 or something, it's like.
He only pitched 118 innings, so I think they'd probably cap it at 150 anyway this season. But unless
he's like a September call-up, and then you don't use him enough that it matters, and then but I don't know if it's going to help you with fantasy or whatever.
And then he'll be ready for the fall league, which is probably what they're wanting to do. So he'd have to absolutely just pitch his way onto the roster. Just be like, all right, I have a 0.9 ERA in AAA, bro. Could I please come pitch up here yet? Please.
But yeah, it would be a grievance with Players Union.
That's it. So that's their starting staff, and that's who's coming up is Chase Dollander, and I think he really could be very good. The last guy I remember being good for the Rockies is Jonathan Gray. So if you guys remember him, he then went to Texas, and I believe he was on the World Series team. I just can't remember for sure, but I think he was. But regardless, who's closing out games for the Rockies? If they are accidentally up 7-4 and in a save situation, who's going to lock it down? Well, no one's a quick answer, but the one they have supposedly back there to do it is Tyler Kinley. Who?
Tyler Kinley drew the short straw.
Yeah. So Tyler Kinley.
John Gray went to Texas in 2022 as part of their World Series.
Okay. That's what I thought.
He was mid last year at age 32.
Which makes sense, but he's 32. So, and he just got his confidence browbeaten out of him when he was in Colorado. But so Tyler Kinley's our closer, 34-year-old, not very good. The problem is, well, there's a lot of problems, but he started off bad. 7.65 ERA, 1.75 WHIP over his first 40 innings last season.
Oof.
And that's really hard to come back from. So even though he finished the second half with a 3.75 ERA and a 1 WHIP, and he did close out 12 games, I don't know. He ended up getting hurt in September, so now we don't know how he did in the offseason, what's going on. I think it was some oblique or something. But it doesn't inspire confidence going into this season like, oh, we got a lockdown closer. I don't think they do. They don't have Adam Ottavino anymore. If you remember that dude with the big old zero. Adam O. That's it. So he used to be all right. So the other guys who could step in when Tyler Kinley does not succeed this year is Victor Vodnik and Seth Halverson. All right. So that's
welcome to MLB The Show.
There we go. So that's what we got there. There is only one thing left to talk about for the Rockies because they're just a sad shape right now. Sad
2026?
Yeah, maybe 2027. We are not even close. So Charlie Condon was their first-round pick last year, number 3 overall. And if you guys watch any college baseball at all, so he played for Georgia in the SEC. He was the Golden Spikes winner last year, batted .433 with a 1565 OPS and 37 dingers. That's who they want to come up to Colorado and say, can you please hit balls over the fence for us? That'd be super cool. And he had his first little pro debut last year. Didn't do that great, but he's also playing through a hand injury. And if we keep talking on this show, if you got hand and wrist and finger injuries and you're a batter, I don't know how you're supposed to hit a ball. So
Especially a power hitter,
exactly.
right?
So he had 34 Ks to 4 walks in his first 100 at bats, and then that was just it. But he'll start down probably Double-A this year. And Charlie Condon is someone to keep an eyeball on, especially for the dynasty leagues out there. And if you have the minor league spots, he's going to get up quick. So he's a 6'6" monster, 216 pounds, and he has a 70 on the 20/80 power scale. Again, that's Aaron Judge power, and we've talked about a few of those dudes. He can flat out rake, and so I think he's going to get up there quick. He might just play his way onto the team by the end of this season, depending on how he does. But he finished in high A last year. I'm sure they're going to start him in Double-A this year and go from there. So that is where we're at with the Colorado Rockies, gents. So when we kind of circle back to, are they going to go over or under that 59.5 Vegas line? I am on the under. I just think 103 losses is easy. I think they can push to 105 to 110 if they play the cards right. And I just don't see where it's coming from.
Yeah, we've talked about Division 2 playing a part, and they're playing against the all-world Dodgers a lot, right? So they're gonna have lots of losses in their division, and just like you said, it's not a lot to look at.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's gonna truck them. The Dodgers are gonna truck them. The Padres are gonna truck them.
Yep.
I just don't know where they're going to get W's from. And I know with the balanced schedule, they'll get to play the White Sox some. That's good. And I mean, the Reds will come into town, and the Cardinals will come into town. But at least they have people I know. They have like legitimate bona fide starters these guys have career 5 ERAs, the whole staff. And I know you pitch in Colorado, but so does the other team. The other team comes to Colorado to play you. So I've never really understood that excuse so much.
Well, the Chris Bryant thing, we said it earlier, it buried them, right? There's starting 9, lineups. If you go look at Baltimore's lineup, I don't know if the 9 guys are making that much.
Yeah.
26 million a year. And I know the Baltimore guys have 3 or 4 still on rookie deals.
They do. They're not even getting $1 million each.
Yeah. So it seriously might be close to that, and they're wasting it on a DH only who's not even hitting his weight
and hasn't played
and can't stay healthy
a combined season yet for them.
I don't know how you do go make any off-season moves when you're that salary cap or payroll tied,
Yeah, I mean, they're only at $114 million for the entire team, but as I was alluding to earlier, like, who's gonna go there? I mean, unless you just
they need
want
so
to
much.
retire in Denver and go skiing, all right, but you can't even ski in the summer, so it's worthless. So I don't even know. I can't find a reason that they're going to be good anytime soon. I don't see it. I mean, they're going to have Doyle step up.
You could change the over-under by 4 games improvement, and they did literally nothing to improve. Why is their over-under like that relatively like projection relatively that much better? I don't get it.
I don't know. And like I was saying before, is Doyle and Tovar both had like their best seasons, and they still did that bad. Nolan Jones dropped off. I guess if they all trend up and they all do well, and then if Jordan Beck can do anything, if their outfield does anything, and if Chris Bryant can just be a 0, just be a replacement player.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like all that happens, they win like 79 games and miss the playoffs. Like,
they are nowhere near sniffing the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think I would even take the bet. I mean, we were talking about on the Patreon stuff where I think it's a pretty good bet to try and take them over the White Sox for the worst overall record because you get odds. It's like 2-1. I would take 2-1 on that.
Versus the White Sox, I think you were saying were a minus 210 or something, right?
Yeah, they were minus 210. And so you take this and you hope the White Sox bring up all those AAA guys they got from the Red Sox, and then, they end up actually overperforming based upon all this extra talent infusion.
If it's a coin flip, go with the better odds.
That's it. All right. Well, I'm done talking about this Ratatouille team. They are going to be. It's really fun to go to Coors Field and watch a game and see the mountains on the top margarita deck. So feel free to go watch them there. And the other best place to watch them is Talking Stick down in Scottsdale. It is a blast. So they're going to peak at spring training. Just enjoy spring training while the weather's great. And then, like I said, if you just want to get some margaritas in Denver sometime this summer, it's still an enjoyable ballpark to go watch the other team play baseball.
All right.
So that
you want
is
to see
our
some
take.
massive home runs, go watch the other team at Coors Field.
Exactly, because we got some guys that throw batting practice. So that is our Colorado Rockies synopsis and analysis for our preview. Over to you, Prue.
Well, I thanked Lou for his falling on the White Sox grenade. I'm going to thank you too, Dex, for falling on the Colorado Rockies grenade.
I think they're
And,
fun. The bad teams are fun to review.
They are kind of fun.
Well, we'll see. There might be some surprises that emerge. That's always the fun part is seeing a team that isn't supposed to do anything. You start pulling for the underdog sometimes when they do start having a little bit of success.
Or
Don't
you
expect
bet they're
them to-
under and you're super happy when they say
Or you fade them all year and you make bank.
You
One
enjoy
of the two.
every loss there is.
wait, they are that bad. Sweet. Take the under. Hate them every
All right. Well, thanks for your support, Shrewdness fans. We'll be back with more baseball previews in the coming days. We're covering every team between now and opening day. So like, follow, and subscribe, and tune in to maybe a better team than the Rockies when we review another team here soon.
Join
Absolutely.
Patreon.
All right, stay shrewd.
Take care.
Bye.